This is the art of selling travel. We're diving in to give you useful and practical tips on how to make more money starting now. We're pulling back the curtains on the best sales strategies to show travel professionals how to close more sales and create raving fans. Helping travel advisors master the art of selling travel. You can't market your way out of a selling problem. This is the art of selling travel. And here to guide you through it all, Glenda Beagle.
Welcome back. I am so excited for today's episode. I have been taking a number of different courses and different things like that, and they keep pushing me back to LinkedIn. They keep talking about the importance of having building connections on LinkedIn, all the networking that can be done. And of course, as we all know, in this virtual world, anytime you can do quality networking, it's that much better. But I admit, I don't know near enough about LinkedIn. So I was doing some research and I found somebody who I know you guys are going to love. Her name is Portia, and I am so excited to bring her on the show. And she is going to be sharing with you guys everything about LinkedIn. So welcome, Portia.
Yes, thank you so much for having me. My name is Portia Obeng, and I'm here to share all my gems about LinkedIn.
It's, before we get going, and I want you guys, you've got to check out the show notes because I'm going to list the bio that Portia sent me, and it is absolutely fantastic. This is how bios should be written, because the moment it came through, I'm like, I cannot wait to talk to her. And this is what having good messaging, good bios, and everything else is going to get you. But also too, before stumbling across Portia, and actually it was somebody else in my network that had liked or commented on something Portia did. That's how I found her. So trust me, networking on LinkedIn works. But Portia, why don't you take just a quick moment here and tell us a little bit about yourselves?
Yeah, sure thing. I'm glad you like my bio. That's me happy to hear. Yes, so I have been working in social media for a long time. My first job in social media was back in 2009, way back in the day, before, TikTok, before Snap, before Instagram. I was working for a small nonprofit on their LinkedIn company page, their YouTube, their Twitter, and their Facebook as well. And that's how I got my first start in social media. So I tell people, yes, I've worked in social media. I do not get on the internet unless I'm getting paid. I've trained myself to do that. I don't like scrolling. I don't like aimless, just being on the internet for no reason. Unless I'm getting paid, I'm not traditionally going to be on there. But that was my first job in social media. And then I've gone on to work with various companies and organizations. And now I do LinkedIn coaching for women. Women are the majority of my clients, where I teach them the skill set and the mindset that they need to stop selling themselves short so that they can show up as their authentic and true selves on LinkedIn and start attracting the money-making opportunities that they deserve. Whatever you're thinking about LinkedIn, I don't know what to say on LinkedIn, or I don't want to look like a fool in front of my industry peers, anything like that, just know that you're not alone, because pretty much all of my clients struggle with the same roadblocks when it comes to LinkedIn. And that's when I work on, helping them move past those roadblocks and developing an all-star LinkedIn profile and really showing up on the platform like themselves. And then I also do LinkedIn workshops and webinars for corporations, and then also universities, and then internships. So when people have summer interns, fall interns, I'll do a LinkedIn workshop for them. So that's about me. And then, yes, I enjoy having fun and living life. I live in Washington, D.C., and both my parents are from Ghana, which is a wonderful, wonderful country in West Africa. And I enjoy to be outside all the time, except in the winter.
I love that. As I look outside my window, and we just had a blizzard the other day, so we are still completely covered in snow. So yeah.
Oh no. I'm sorry.
But you know what? That just makes travel that much sweeter for me, because then I can go travel the world and explore that. But I'm going to unpack two things. And these weren't even questions that I had on my list, but just from what you said. So first and foremost, because I hear a lot of people talking about LinkedIn, and they talk about it like it's this new thing. Now, of course, I've been on LinkedIn. I haven't been using LinkedIn. I've been on it. And I do believe there's a big difference between being on a social platform and using it. But I've been on there for quite a while. But how long has LinkedIn really been around?
Oh, that's a great question. So it launched, I know that it launched while 2003 or 2000. I know that it was available when I was in college. I graduated in 2008. So it's been around for a long time. But the LinkedIn that you're hearing about now, I call the new school LinkedIn, that probably started like 2018, 2019, and then really took off in 2020. That's when they saw the biggest height of their content creation on the platform.
Perfect. And then the other thing you said that I am sorry is like the biggest piece of gold. And I would love to say this will be the mic drop moment of the day, but I have a feeling there will be more. It's the fact that I hear from so many people, I don't want to be on social media. I hate social media. I don't want to be there. And you said, I'm not there unless I'm getting paid to be there. And I love the mindset around you don't just use it to fill your time, you use it to get paid.
Oh, absolutely. Yes, that's my number one thing. Either, I'm using it to make money. And in terms of making money, there's just like so many different tactics that can be used in that. So when I get on LinkedIn, engaging on LinkedIn is one of the most important things people can do. So connecting with people who are thought leaders in your industry. So those are the people who post on LinkedIn and they get all these, comments and people engaging with their content. You want to, connect with them, engage with their content as well. So that's another way to increase your visibility, which can help you make money. So then there's also, I respond to a lot of messages from people. That's another way to increase your visibility on the platform, just interacting with people and your messages. And then I also have a side hustle Instagram account, and it's the same thing on there. When I get on there, I'm looking for potential brand partners or I'm answering direct messages. The only time I may look at social media for fun is like if I'm watching a YouTube video. And usually that's a video about how to make money. So it's not really.
I love it. I love it. I love it. So for myself on, just in kind of chasing a squirrel for a second here, I have 2 Instagram accounts. One of them is kind of what I would consider my personal one. That's where I have a few things that I have for entertainment. But my one that I run for Art of Selling Travel, I only follow travel industry people on there. I'm looking for people to engage with, to connect with, and resources that all relate back specifically to the business. And so I think it's really important that we understand that when you're on these platforms with the intent of growing it for business, you've got to be on that platform with the intent of growing it for business.
That's on point. Yeah. I really like how you follow industry, travel industry leaders on that specific Instagram account that you have for your business. And then also think that shifts your mindset when you open up Instagram or even when you open up LinkedIn, because you're on there. It's like, I'm not on here to play games. I'm on here to, make meaningful connections, to grow my engagement, because nobody cares about followers. I can tell you that much. Who cares if you have 100,000 followers unless you can bank $100,000 contract? Nobody cares about these followers. I tell people all the time, it really matters about your engagement. So as long as you're getting on there and you have the mindset of these are the people I'm connected with in my industry, they're going to help me increase my visibility, help me connect with new partners, new clients, and things like that, then you're good to go.
Awesome. So I guess one of the first questions that people have when it comes to LinkedIn, and one that I definitely have for myself, is it sort of like Facebook where you need to have like your personal profile and then a business page, or do you run everything out of a personal profile, or what are the differences there?
That's a fantastic question. So for most people, I tell them you can just have your personal LinkedIn profile, and you should, if you want to attract clients, if you want to attract corporate clients, brand partners, whatever it may be, you're going to have to use your personal LinkedIn account as a way to share knowledge. Okay. You want people to gain knowledge when they're on your LinkedIn profile. You want your content showing up in their feed, which means you need to share, scroll stopping content. You need to be dropping information. So either you're going to do education, or you're going to entertain, or you're going to empower. So those are like pretty much your three content buckets when it comes to creating content on LinkedIn. So you're going to either educate, entertain, or empower. A lot of the content that you're going to share on LinkedIn is going to be the educational part. That's what's going to attract the clients. That's what's going to get the views on your profile. So this would be, so for example, for me, of course, I share a lot of information about LinkedIn, but for you, it may be, so if you're working, it may be 3 things you may not know about working with a travel agent, something like that. Right. And then you would make your LinkedIn post and there's your information sharing. So you're going to keep doing this on your personal page. I'm not a huge fan of people sharing like actual personal business on their LinkedIn profile. So like some people will share their engagements or like pictures of their kids. I'm not a huge fan of this because I do, think that's why I got off of Facebook, because I really didn't want to see this information. So I recommend that you use quote unquote, as your personal page, really as a way for you to create lead generation, right? So this is going to be your lead magnet. You're going to be sharing information, getting views on your profile. And then once you build up your personal page to a pretty decent following, so say you get about 4,000 followers on LinkedIn, you can go ahead and set up a company page, which the reason why you want to do the company page, you don't really have to put a lot of content on there unless your company, like you're really pushing for your company to grow on LinkedIn. Really all you want to use the company page for is to put it on your personal LinkedIn profile as your employer. So like for me, my business, I put that as my employer on my personal LinkedIn profile. So it looks cleaner. Your profile looks cleaner. That's really why you have a company page.
Awesome. Sorry, I am taking notes already. I'm going to be listening to this one over and over again.
Okay, good. Yes, take your notes.
So those that do have a company page, because I've been on some where the company page, there's nothing there. And I've been on others where they're actively trying to grow their company page and they're putting a lot of effort into it and things like that. So having a company page really isn't as important as perhaps what it is on other social platforms then.
Correct. Yes, because your quote unquote personal LinkedIn page is almost like your professional, right? It's supposed to be your professional page. So having that company page isn't as important at all. I'd say if you have 2 or 3 employees and you want to share information on your company page, go ahead and do that. Just know that you're going to have an actual strategy for your company page. You can't just say, oh, we're going to have our company page and people are going to come to us. I always tell people, if you build it, they will not come because you need to let people know where you are. So this means you're going to have a strategy where you're going to say, okay, this is our 12-month strategy where we are going to post at least twice a week on the company page. And the type of content that we will be posting is going to be lead generation content. So we're going to have either worksheets or challenges or something for people to sign up so we can get their email addresses. So you want to create an actual strategy for your company page if you're actually going to grow the company page. But if you just want it there, like I mentioned, just so that you can add it to your personal page as your employer so it looks cleaner, you don't really have to do a lot on the company page. But that was a good question.
Awesome. So now let's just focus then just on that personal profile. So what needs to be on the profile? What do people look for, or what's going to give them authority when somebody comes on their page?
You must always have a photo. I say this like people, I harp on it so much is because LinkedIn did a study and they found that people who have profile photos get about 21 more times views on their profiles than those who don't. And I completely understand if you don't want to be in front of the camera, if you're not photogenic, you don't like taking photos. I completely understand that, but you got to get over yourself if you really want to be able to help people who need your help, right? So anytime I have resistance to doing something in my business, I think, it's not about me. It's about the people who need my help, right? So for you, obviously, when you are out looking for somebody to help you with something, you usually want to be greeted with a smiling face. So you want to have that same approach on your personal LinkedIn profile. You want a profile photo that shows your smiling face. But LinkedIn, it used to be this boring, stuffy platform, but now they're really shifting and changing. And people are like, well, I don't have a suit and I don't want to wear that in my profile photo. I'm like, great, don't do it. I did a presentation for this organization last year, and one of the tips that I give is you can book an Airbnb experience, which is not the lodging part of Airbnb, but you can book these different photography experiences in different cities. And so she booked one in her city, and she lived in Miami. So she got these beautiful outdoor photos of her in her element, like her personality really showed through in her photos. So you can have a photo that shows off your personality. It doesn't have to be boring and stuffy, but you must have that profile photo.
Awesome.
Another thing, yes. Another thing is you must have, especially if you are a business owner, consultant, coach, whatever it may be, you must have a branded cover photo, also known as your LinkedIn banner or your LinkedIn background photo. This is what a lot of people leave blank, but it's basically a billboard for you. So I tell a lot of my clients, if you have a value proposition statement, so say, for example, I'm a travel agent who helps busy professional women book the vacation of their dreams. Go ahead and put that in your LinkedIn cover photo, also known as your LinkedIn banner photo. If you're not a designer like myself, you can use canva.com. Again, that's canva.com. They have tons of banner templates that you can use. So LinkedIn banner templates. Again, if somebody says LinkedIn banner, LinkedIn cover photo, LinkedIn background photo, it's all the same thing. It's just that on Canva, they are called LinkedIn banners. They have templates there. You can edit the templates. Like I mentioned, you can do a value proposition statement on your cover photo, or you can do your name and like the type of travel agent that you are. Always include your website URL and then an email address that people can contact you. If you're having like a special, like let's say you are a travel agent who has an online course. Say you're selling a specific online course that teaches people how to do something. So say, I teach other travel agents how to, book, how to revamp their lives in 10 hours a week, something like that, right? So if you had that special course that was on sale, I would recommend updating your LinkedIn cover photo for just that specific time that course is on sale. So you can do a lot of that in that upward section right there. I call it your billboard, pretty much your LinkedIn billboard where you tell people what's going on. So you got to have those too.
Awesome.
Then you must have the LinkedIn headline. That's not just telling people, oh, I'm a travel agent. No, you tell people how you change their lives, right? So like I help busy families book vacations that take all their stress away. Or, I'm an award-winning travel agent that can, help you plan the vacation of a lifetime. You got to have that headline.
Fabulous.
You got to have the about section as well. That's like another important part. You got to have the about section, which you want to tell people a story and give people your services. Tell them, I can help you do X, Y, and Z. Here's how I can help you. Again, making it about them and how you can help them and the services that you provide for them. And then you want to make sure that you're using keywords that are affiliated with your industry in your headline and your about section, because that will really help you show up higher in the search results when people are searching on LinkedIn. So those are just like a few of the things.
I love it. I love that. Mm-hmm. Fabulous. Okay, so now what is the proper etiquette, if you will? Because the more that I'm on LinkedIn, the more requests I get and things like that, which is great.
Yeah.
But the amount of people that before they've sent me a request and I'm like, sure, why not? We'll connect. And then instantly they're like, come buy this from me. Come join this from me. And it's instant. Now, I also want to preface this by saying when I first reached out to Portia, my first thing was, hey, I have this podcast. I would love for you to be a guest. But I will also say that I sent that request through on her website. But also too, podcasts like this are really good for both parties because first of all, we're introducing you all to her because her fabulousness is just got to be shared with everybody. But I'm
Right.
not trying to sell her anything. I'm not trying to get money out of her, anything like that. But I find so many on LinkedIn, the moment I connect with them, are instantly spamming me with everything that they do, everything that they sell, everything that they want me to buy, and things like that. And it does start to make me a little nervous to connect with people on LinkedIn.
Oh man, yeah, I can also imagine you because you have sales and strategists in your headline. So I can imagine. Uh,
Perfect. Sorry about that. We just had a slight technical issue. So we were just talking about the people who instantly spam like spam you as soon as you've connected with them or whatever.
Yes. So, yes, I was saying that has become an issue on LinkedIn. I can see how people would really spam you because you do have sales and strategists in your headline. And so with the way LinkedIn works, the words that are in your headline and your about section, particularly your about section, those really weigh heavily on how you're going to show up in the search results when somebody's doing a search on LinkedIn. And so these people who are spamming you, they usually are using LinkedIn Sales Navigator, which is a whole nother feature that LinkedIn offers. It's a paid feature where people can, send you messages that are basically spammy messages when they're trying to sell you something. Now, when people are trying to sell me something, I politely decline. And I completely understand how you might be hesitant to not accept people's connection requests. But when they do, try to spam you with something, just politely decline, tell them that you're not interested in this time. But when you are connecting with people, you don't have to use LinkedIn Sales Navigator. You can just use the 300 characters with spaces that are given to you when you send somebody a connection request. So don't really waste your time on Sales Navigator for now. As you know, you're getting to learn LinkedIn. Just send somebody a connection request and use those 300 characters with spaces and say something like, "Hi, how are you? I would love to be a resource to you to help you with X, Y, and Z." Whatever your secret sauce is, whatever your butter is, do that. And so if you have any webinars coming up, say if you're interested, here's, I have a webinar coming up, would be really helpful to you. If you have any worksheets, any downloads, anything like that, that would be helpful to the person, you can do that. A lot of the times when people connect with me, I'll respond and say, how can I support you when it comes to your LinkedIn goals? Or are there any specific questions you have about LinkedIn? So for you, it's like, do you have any specific questions about, sales strategies for travel? Do you have any specific questions about trends in travel, trends in selling, things like that? You can ask somebody a question because that really helps you develop the relationship. And that's what, selling is all about the relationship, right? And so that's what keeps people coming back to you. So if you can develop the relationship just through the conversations and your direct messages on LinkedIn, that's a better way to go than to just like first interaction with somebody, spamming them. But the people who spam, I just say, no, thank you. I'm not interested today.
You're very kind. I do a lot of block delete. Because I'm like, I have no idea who you are. And I can tell you haven't even read anything about my profile to know that I am not your ideal client. And so
that's key. Yeah, that's key that you said that. Yes.
Yeah, you've got to. And so that's the one thing, because I think there's a lot of people out there that when they don't know better, they just start to repeat the same behaviors that they're seeing and not realizing that the rest of us are blocking and deleting those people. So that's not really the best way, sort of thing. But I know that there's a lot of travel advisors out there who particularly are moving into the luxury market, or they want to work with the executives and things like that. The people who, if we're being honest, have the money to travel, but don't have the time to plan it. And so they're wanting to make connections with those kind of people. How would they go about starting to find those people or making a connection with them without it being a spammy or anything of that nature?
Yes, I mean, that's a perfect question. There's two things I would say. One, you probably need to make the connection with their executive assistant, because this is the person who, right? Like this is the person who has their calendar. This is the person who's in their ear. The executive assistant is the one who's really running things, as I tell people all the time. And LinkedIn, now the reason why I tell people you don't necessarily need Sales Navigator is because you can go to the company's company page. Let's say, for example, what's a company that you would like to plan a luxury trip for the executive? Which one that you like?
Oh goodness, I am just suddenly very blank. I would think it would be, of course, because that's not my ideal client. I work with the travel advisors who do that, but I'm just hit a wall. But I'm thinking something in the neighborhood of a lawyer, things like that.
Okay.
So, we're looking at probably a lawyer from a bigger firm. All
right.
So, yeah.
That's perfect. All right. Okay. So this law firm definitely has a LinkedIn company page. I'm certain of it. So what you're going to do is you're going to go on LinkedIn. You're going to go to this, let's say the law firm is, We Get Money Lawyers Incorporated. And so you go to the law firm's, We Get Money company page. And on the company page, there's a people tab. So you're going to click on that people tab. And from that people tab, it lists all the people who have added this law firm, We Get Money law firm, on their LinkedIn personal page as their employer. So these are people who have identified We Get Money law firm is my employer. And then from there, you're going to search and look for executive assistant. So then you're going to see all the people who have listed executive assistant in their LinkedIn headline. And then from there, you can send a connection request. Hi, how are you? My name is Portia. I just wanted to know if I could be a resource to your, let's say you're the person is the executive assistant to the VP of governance in the law firm, right? So I just wanted to know if I could be a resource to your VP of governance in the event that she would like to plan travel in the next coming year. Happy to help you with whatever you may need.
Awesome.
That's it, right? That's your connection request right there. Or you can, even ask a question. That's even a better place. That way you can have more of a conversation with the person. Just say, is your VP of governance planning travel anytime in the next year? Happy to be a resource to you. Always talk about how you will help them make their lives easier, because it's most likely that the executive assistant will see the LinkedIn connection request before the VP of governance does.
That's,
if you don't get go ahead.
I was just going to say that's so, that's just so awesome because it's about the gatekeepers. Who is the gatekeeper to the person that you truly want to talk to?
Yes, exactly. But yes, if you don't hear from the executive assistant, I tell people don't take any of it personal. If you don't hear from the person, just move on to the next one. I think LinkedIn reports that something like 60% of decision makers are on LinkedIn. So this is a place where people have money, right? The people who can spend the money on these luxurious vacations. Yeah, but you just got to find the gatekeeper, and it's usually the executive assistant. They know everything.
And that really doesn't matter the industry. The executive assistants always know everything. So yeah, absolutely.
Yes.
Awesome.
Yes.
Awesome. So now, and just my mind's kind of going with that a little bit from that perspective, because then if that's who you're reaching out to, you're working with the gatekeepers, you're talking to the executive assistants, perhaps that's who you've made the LinkedIn connection with. To a degree, the content you're putting out then needs to reflect the fact that you're talking to the gatekeepers. And so you're probably going to be putting out different sort of content, because talking about getting your family away, you're too busy for this, that, or the other. And it's wanting to change that messaging just a little bit to make sure that you are reflective of who it is that you're actually talking to.
The key there is that the executive assistant may not be the one looking at the content on LinkedIn. It may actually be the VP of governance who is looking at this content, who may save it and flag it and say, I may come back to this later. because it's the connection request and the messages that they probably get bombarded with that they may not be able to get to. So when you send them that connection request, it may be the executive assistant or maybe even somebody on the social media team who is answering those requests, or like the person is maybe flagging it and forwarding it to the executive assistant, but it's most likely that the VP of governance would be scrolling through LinkedIn and just like, oh, okay, this is interesting. I'll come back to this. So you can still develop your content to speak directly to their pain points, but you made a great point about content development in general. When it comes to LinkedIn, you want to speak to their pain points and their challenges. So I'm glad you brought that up. That's very important, is like really knowing who your client is and their biggest pain points. You can repurpose one piece of content like 12 different times talking about the same pain point, just as long as you're speaking to what they're struggling with the most.
Yeah, absolutely. So now, for those that haven't yet got on LinkedIn, or they don't feel like their audience is on LinkedIn, or that they just don't know where to start, what would you say to somebody that's not sure they should be on LinkedIn?
Yeah, I would say to stop playing games with yourself and just start. Because I tell people all the time, LinkedIn is where the money resides. This is a platform, like you mentioned, decision makers are there, the gatekeepers are there. I started making LinkedIn content, like when I started doing it consistently, which the reason why I recommend LinkedIn to people is because the consistent content on LinkedIn, you can do like 2 or 3 posts a week on LinkedIn. And this means you can post a long text post, you can post a video, you can post an article. There are different forms of content that you can post. You can even post a PDF file. So let's say you worked on some type of report of some sort. You can upload a PDF file and give a preview of that report. So there's so many different types of content that you can post on LinkedIn, but you do not have to be on the hamster wheel like with Instagram or TikTok, like constantly creating, just like always having to be on the platform. With LinkedIn, because their organic algorithms are not messed up like Instagram's algorithms, you get a lot more growth in your content. So you can have a LinkedIn post that you posted a week ago and somebody could still see it in their feed, which is not often happening on Instagram unless you have a really good Instagram reel. Other than that, you're not getting a lot of that organic content. So just at that reason alone, I tell people just try on LinkedIn. Just try and find who your target audience is. You should know who your target audience is before you get on the platform, and then create that content as it caters to them. And I tell people all the time, just do it. Just try. You will not get the data you need. You will not learn how to change. You will not learn how to adapt. You will not learn how to pivot unless you just try. I value progress over perfection. Just do something. I tell people, just do something.
I love that. I love it. And, absolutely. I was on LinkedIn earlier today and something popped up that when I looked at it, somebody posted it 3 weeks ago. I just hadn't seen it yet. And so LinkedIn was still serving it up to me because I hadn't yet seen it. And I think too, if we remember back to the golden days of Facebook, if your friend commented or liked something, it popped up in your newsfeed. That doesn't really happen anymore. Or at least not to any degree of what it does. Whereas on LinkedIn, as I said earlier in the episode here, that's how I found Portia, is because somebody in my network had either liked or commented something, a piece of content that she had put out. So I started reading it. And then I went down the rabbit hole of all of her content and other such. And I'm like, this is amazing. I can't wait to learn more. But we don't see that on some of the other platforms right now. Whereas LinkedIn is serving it up and it's saying, Amber saw this and loved it. Gina saw this and commented, and so you're able to see things that you might not otherwise. And it really is more of that cocktail party where they're like, have you met my friend Jackie? She's really cool and she really knows how to do this. And I feel like that's what LinkedIn still offers to so many.
Yes. You hit it exactly. That is it. That it still allows you to see the activity that everybody else is engaging in. And usually, the content that they're liking is pretty helpful, which I'm glad you gave that example of you finding my content and then being like, okay, yeah, this is really helpful for me. But that goes back to my example that you want to be creating content that is helpful for people, that speaks to their pain points and their challenges. That's where you really get people in to make the connections with you. And it doesn't take a lot. I think it took like a couple months of me doing, that's probably like 4 or 5 months of doing consistent posting on LinkedIn, engaging with people, connecting with people. And that's when I got like my first speaking gig where somebody like cold was like, oh, we have this event. We would like you to speak at it. So just if you do the work and trust the process, then you're going to see the results. But you got to commit to doing the work.
Awesome. I started writing that down, and then the next question I had popped out of my head. I remember what it was. Here we go. So something that's common in the travel industry, and it makes my skin crawl every time, is I see travel advisors because they're trying to go for that low hanging fruit. So they're like, 2-for-1 cruises, or this is on sale, or this or that. LinkedIn's not a price well, social as a whole, as far as I'm concerned, really is not a price driven, but LinkedIn especially, it's not a price driven world that they're living in. They're not looking for discount flyers and sales flyers and things like that. Or am I mistaken?
You really spoke to what I tell people all the time. It's not about the price. It's about the value that you deliver, right? It's about the results that you bring people. So you really, there are people who have products, services that are 10 times higher than somebody who is, giving you the 2-for-1 cruises. And they get lots of clients because they are able to communicate the value and the results that they deliver and the experience that they can bring you, right? So instead of being, the 2-for-1 cruise, just be like, you're going to go on what I can give you an example of what a LinkedIn post would be like. A LinkedIn post would be like, we're heading into the summer months. Things can be kind of hectic, and you want to plan a family vacation that the whole family will love. Everyone from grandma, who will be out on the deck enjoying card playing, I don't know, something like that, to your kids who will be in the pool, to you who will enjoy, the late night dinners with your spouse. Here are 3 reasons why you should here are 3 things you should look out for when planning your next cruise vacation with your family. Then list the 3 things that are most important for them to look out for. That's better for you to provide that information and be okay with the person maybe taking 3 months to make the decision. But after that person makes that decision, right, in 3 months, you probably have a client for life. Mm-hmm. You probably have somebody who you're not going to have to go out and find this ideal client again. And then not only that, you probably have a referral friend for life, right? So this client is probably going to keep referring you to their friends.
Awesome.
So it may not be instant, but it will work in the long run.
Yeah.
As long as you provide that value.
Yeah. And I think that's the biggest thing, or the biggest misconception I think so many people have, whether it's business owners, travel advisors, whatever it is, when it comes to sales and marketing goes hand in hand, side by side. But just because you put out a piece of marketing today does not mean you are going to get a sale by this afternoon. It is building on it. It's putting all those blocks together. Yes. I can give you a whole great big box of Legos, but until you actually put them all together, you don't know what it's going to look like. And so you've got to put each block and keep building, and you're just going to keep going through it. And then you get the finished project. That's when you get that prize at the end.
Exactly. I'm glad you broke it down like that for the people, because a lot of people think, oh, I posted once on LinkedIn and nobody signed up for my program, I give up. I'm like, once, on average, the statistics show people need to see something 7 times just for them to even register. Like, oh, wait a minute, this is a thing. I should probably pay attention to it.
Yeah. Yeah. And that's just to get them to pay attention. That's not enough to get them to convert. I saw a study recently, I don't remember what it was, but I want to say it was something like 59 or 97. Like it was a huge number of the amount of times you have to disrupt somebody's pattern before they'll convert over to buying. And that number was huge. And then they said the average number of times a salesperson will reach out before they stop. And it was 2. We're talking about
really?
Like in the 50s or 90s or whatever. But they said the average salesperson will stop asking after the second time they've reached out and nobody's done anything. And yet it takes all of these multiple people. It was something, oh shoot, I'm going to have to find that study. But it's
amazing.
It was a very large number, even for the people who are already warmed up and know you. And yet most salespeople stop at the second attempt or the second reach out and things like that. And it just was like, wow, and yet, like you said, people will be like, but I posted on LinkedIn, it didn't work. Well, you posted on LinkedIn in February of 2020 and you did it once. You can't be upset that in March, April, May, June of 2022, you didn't get a sale from your one post in February of 2020.
Correct. No, that is it. That is it. Yep. You have hit the nail on the head. I hope that is the right
So what I would use.
But no, that is it. That is it perfectly. You have really broken it down and explaining that it's about that relationship building, right? And it's about you just committing to do the work. But yeah, I would love to see that study because I would love to share that with my business besties as well. Because I think it's easy for us to get discouraged if we don't have information like this, right? So if we have information like this, it's like, okay, I just got to keep going until I find the right person.
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. I want to say I heard it from a course I took from Sales Gravy. So yeah. And I've taken so many with them in the last little while here. I couldn't even tell you specifically which one. I want to say it was Gina Tremarco that was speaking when I heard that, but it might also have been in their fanatical prospecting workshop. But yeah. So no, it was ridiculous, the number. And it just it made my head want to explode a little bit because the number was just huge. It was absolutely huge in comparison. And it broke it down based on how well they know you, if they were already an existing customer, how many reach outs it takes. And then if they follow you all, they're already a part of your email list or follow you online or things like that versus all the way through to a completely cold. And in that, I was like, holy smokes, no wonder, and that's from somebody who understands sales as a whole. But this was just a whole nother level of it, even for myself, where I was like, okay, that explains a lot. So, yeah.
Yeah, that explains a whole lot. That makes things way more encouraging for you to keep going when you feel like, oh, I haven't heard from anybody. Yeah, just keep going.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. Perfect. Well, just before we wrap up here, if you had one very best tip that you wish everybody knew when it came to LinkedIn or something you wish people did differently when it came to LinkedIn, what would that be? What would you like to leave everybody with?
Yes, I said it before, but please take time to really write a well-crafted about section that tells your story of how you help people and the services that you offer. What is your promise? What is the transformation that you give people? And when I say transformation, a vacation with a family, a vacation with your significant other, even a solo vacation, right? Those can be life-changing experiences. So really speaking to what does a person get from working with you? What value do they get? What do you deliver to this person? How are they going to be different after working with you? Are they going to feel more relaxed? Are they going to feel more energized? Are they going to feel more confident? Are they going to feel just better about where they are in their lives? Please make sure you share that information in your about section, and then make sure you're including as many keywords as possible as it relates to your industry that your potential client would be looking for, right? So you want to include those keywords, and then you want to have that complete about section because that's what weighs the heaviest in terms of you showing up in the search results when somebody's doing a search on LinkedIn. And then also, in the same way that you found me, let's say that, there's a piece of content that somebody wrote, 3 things you should know about traveling to Brazil during, I don't know, the high season, something like that, right? So they like this content, and then they go to your profile. So you want to make sure that you have information on your profile that lets that person say, this is somebody I should keep in mind. This is somebody who wants to help me. Or you want them to read your about section and say, wow, like you're talking about me. This is me. Like, yeah, I want to take my first solo vacation, but I don't know where to start. And I'd love for somebody to walk me through the process. Let me email this person. So that's what you want people to say when they see your about section. Like, yes, I want to hire you.
Awesome.
And that's it.
Awesome. Well, I love it. I have some work to do on my own.
You're doing great so far.
I just keep thinking, I'm like, wow, I have a banner photo up there, but it's got nothing on it. So we're going to have to redo that before the episode goes live. And so, yeah, fantastic. Well, thank you so much for joining me. And until next time, guys, we'll see you then. One quick second before we wrap up, Portia, where can our travel advisors find you if they want to know more about building up their own LinkedIns?
Yes, thank you. They can definitely go to my LinkedIn profile. That's probably the easiest way for you to find me. It's just Portia Obeng on LinkedIn. I'm pretty easy to find. The URL is linkedin.com/in/Portia Obeng. That's me. And then my website, portiaobeng.com. And I offer one-on-one 90-minute LinkedIn coaching sessions where we work together to update your profile in real time, because I like I said, progress over perfection. So I want you to get started. And then I offer a number of different LinkedIn webinars and workshops. If you sign up for my email list, which you can find that on my website, I typically keep that information in there. And yes, I'm always ready to give you unsolicited advice about your LinkedIn profile.
Awesome. And of course, I will include that in the show notes as we always do. So have a fabulous day, guys.